Okay. You ready? All right, Tina, start with Tina.
I'm Tina Ransom, and I'm running for City Council District 2. And my main focus is on the homeless because they are needing a place to be able to stay in during times when their weather is not good. They need food every day, clothing. And I feel that we have in areas here that we could be built a place for them to do so. And I am pushing for that wholeheartedly to make it happen.
My name is Roger Pennington. I'm the Republican candidate for Salem City Council at large.
Tommy Brown, Libertarian candidate for mayor.
Steve Crane, running for re-election for Salem District 3. I'd also like to piggyback on what Tina just said. I'm also interested in creating and implementing a new and improved homeless action plan for the city so we can address that issue among some other issues as well.
I'm Renee Mather. I am running for City Council District 4, and I am running for many reasons, some of those being transparency amongst the current those in charge and the rest of our citizens so that everybody knows what's going on, how, why, hopefully activating some others who do more in our community overall. Start with that.
There you go. Tina, go ahead and let us know how you got involved with the homeless.
When I first started with the homeless, my church at Legacy was doing a soup kitchen. And so every Monday night, we prepared meals for them. We collected clothing, blankets, whatever they would need. We had necessities and stuff donated. Everything was on a donation basis. And there would be some nights that we would have so many people that we would run out of food. No food to feed them or anything, or we would have to go in the pantry and get more food and feed them and everything. So I became to be more and more involved in with the homeless and everything. And I wanted to do more than just feed them. I want to protect them, give them a way of life, you know, like when the building gets built, I want them to have a way of accessing a computer so they can get jobs, get back on their feet if they're able. You know, I want everything to fall in place to where they can feel that they're needed and wanted in this community. Because right now, most of them feel like they're not wanted and they hide and they won't come out and stuff. A lot of them are needing so many things so bad that they won't even ask everything. So if I see them out, I'll stop them and ask them, hey, what do you need? What can I get you? If I can't get it, I'll find somebody that does. Because I feel that they need our help badly. So I started getting with them when we started doing the soup kitchen. And then I've continued myself since we closed it to help them in any way, shape, and form that I can. And I will continue to do this until it's done.
Do you have an estimate or a number of how many homeless are in Salem?
It's over 300.
As part of your program, is there an education system to help them finish high school or middle school?
Yes, there will be.
How are you going to manage that and fund it?
The online classes,
From,
it'll be on the computers.
but I mean, where the class is coming from?
I haven't gotten into that part yet, but I am checking into it to see what would be the best part to do so. And it'll be online classes that can go onto every day and everything like that and study and do that online.
Community center by the Y would be probably be a good place for that.
Mm-hmm.
Get that started.
Have you thought of a maximum number that you can handle?
Not at this point because there's so many, but I know that the facility is going to have to be several bedrooms because there's just so many and there's kids involved in this as well. So there's families involved as well as just, you know, single people.
Do you have concerns that if this becomes an independent program, that Salem will become a magnet for the homeless?
Not necessarily, because the fact that most of the homeless that are here have lived here for years and have just fallen on the way of losing their homes and different things like this, and that's what's caused them to be on the streets.
Will this be restricted to like Washington County residents or Salem residents, or
No, it'll be for anyone.
so if someone comes down here from Chicago, they're welcome to partake of the, and how you gonna fund this?
I am going to get with the, community and have everybody reach out to me and get this place built, have them donate the property and donate the building and facility, the materials and everything to get this place built.
How big a building, what size?
Probably, it would have to be at least the size of a good, complex, like an apartment complex or something like that. One of the tall tower like buildings.
You're talking elephant dollars to build this.
Possibly, maybe not. Depends on, what the amount would be once I get everything put together. Right now, I'm waiting on some totals to come back from, some places I have checked into and everything to see what it's gonna cost. And then I would have to have someone donate property to help with the homeless and everything like that and have it be, prepped and ready so the building can be built.
Okay, thank you.
Can we ask, like, is this now, we also talk about this? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, do you know what Salem used to have for the homeless? Like, are there things that we used to have offered that aren't anymore?
Not that I know of, because the homeless issue hasn't been a prominent thing except for in the last year or so. So in the past, I don't think there was anything for any of them.
I mean, I remember when there was the women's shelter and the men's shelter, those
Well,
qualified.
As far as I knew, there was no men's shelter. There was only women.
Oh, there you,
One on West Mulberry Street.
Was it a man?
Yeah, I think there was
Okay.
used to be a church. I think they had,
Okay.
had some programs there.
yeah, but it's been a while.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as I know right now, only one there is the women's shelter. I knew back a few years ago, there was a couple that moved down here from Alabama or somewhere. And the mom and the kids could only be the ones that stay there. The man ended up having to be by himself. And so I didn't even know what he did or where he went to or anything. And so he couldn't even be with his wife and kids unless they were out of the shelter.
So if you get voted in, you want to bring people around you to collaborate to do this initiative. Like perhaps, maybe you wouldn't even need to build a new building because there are empty buildings
But they're not big enough.
on the, like tea antiques, for example. Just start on it.
Mm-hmm.
That would not be big enough.
It just depends on how many bedrooms we put in it, because the complex will have your living room, your bedrooms, washers and dryers. Yeah, I mean, it'll have everything that a home would actually have. I would have to have volunteers to help cook meals, help to keep the place clean, but they were responsible for their rooms and things like that and stuff. No drugs, no alcohol. If they come on the premises, they're drunk or high, they're not allowed in. It would be pet friendly as long as the animals are kept clean and everything like this and stuff. So it'll be like, just like a regular home, but I mean, we're gonna have lots and lots of bedrooms because there's so many and everything.
I have seen this done in out west where they basically take a giant metal barn and they let people have their tents, and then the main area of the barn, they set up the living room, the internet, the showers, the laundry. That's an open section, and then people can have these little spaces they rent, which
What do you do with those tents in the winter?
well, those are inside the building. So the one place that I saw two different ways. One was in a old parking garage where they established the main floor being like instead of demolishing the parking garage, they utilized whatever was there. The main floor had everything that was accessible to, and they had different people each week or each day of the week who maybe came and did educational classes or haircuts or pet care. They had different volunteers. And then each different level had maybe whole families in tents. Like, so they had a tent that was theirs and they could establish a space. And then there was a men's floor, women's floor. But they also had ways to get them connected with, therapy. Just because usually there's mental health concerns, there's physical health
There'll
concerns.
be security in the building too.
It's a lot of, so one that I saw was in a parking garage, another one was in just basically a giant metal barn that was just massive. And people were given their space in designated areas. But this is all an idea that you have. And if you get elected, you would want collaborations to.
Yes, I'm gonna need all the volunteers I can get to be in on this. They would have to be able to donate different things that I need to keep the place running. You know, I mean, I can't do this on my own, you know, it's just my passion.
It's an admirable. And it takes people like you caring, persistently caring to get.
And I think that you're planting a seed right now, just by bringing out the awareness.
Yeah.
And it is an issue, and it's not getting any better.
I have been told by one of the homeless and his wife that in behind Dollar Tree in those woods is where a bunch of them are hiding right now because they have no place to go. They're all living in tents. And he said there's probably about 150, 200 in there. He said some of them has not been led to someplace else, but he said there's a big amount of them back here. And he said they're all over the county and all over the city because they keep getting run off.
Now, as far as resources, as a mayor candidate, I would advise you to check with, we've got 200 churches within Washington County. I would definitely reach out to the churches. Being 25 years in emergency management, don't forget about the Red Cross. I know years ago, there used to be here in Salem, there used to be Teen Challenge. If we could revitalize that program, but expand it, not just looking at teens, but looking at the whole family concept. You've got enough churches and enough church people in the community with that, because Teen Challenge come out of the church. I think that would help you. You've got a few churches now that are doing it. I know, unfortunately, we've lost legacy. I think what First Christian does it. I know Southern Hills does the Christmas community assistance. I know Westside Baptist does a little bit. I think that's it. But if you could rally the rest of the churches around that team, it would definitely, and I would advise you, as a mayor candidate, to go that route to see what they can do.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking in with the churches to see what they can help with and what they can do and everything like this, because I feel like they're a big majority of our city. And that these are good Christian people who have the same insight that I have on getting this done. Because if not, then that's why there's being theft and different things and all, people going through the dumpsters and stuff like this. I mean, it's going to continue and it'll get worse as time goes on.
Steve?
Washington County Foundation would be a great resource to use to tap into as well and get involved
Okay.
with that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you said something, because instead of just, ditto. Because you have some things, is there anything else that you can add to this? I know they munched on this thoroughly, but is there anything that you want to bring forward? Any ideas?
I believe we need to just create an official document that represents the city's idea on the homeless, on how we're going to address this plan, an action plan.
Yeah.
Something specific with goals and objectives that Tina's brought up, and get organized and get it going.
Right. Another thing I had thought about doing is starting up a GoFundMe page to start raising the money for the building, if anything at all, or the money for the property or whatever, and then have other people start donating, and everything. They can either donate money or they can donate whatever it takes to keep this place going and get it built. Because winter's coming and these people are going to need a place.
You might also check for grants online, Red Cross. I don't know if the Department of Homeland Security would have anything, but you can check. If you can get a hold of some of your volunteer firemen, especially your fire chiefs, they can help you get the grants through. So you've got sections of people that can help you. I'm in total agreement with Steve. You know, we need to get a document or an ordinance made that lines out our objectives. And we also do that, Steve, we need to add what is not allowed. And we need to be clear about it. That way, everybody that goes in, they get a copy of what is allowed, what is not, so that there's no misconception of what's going on here.
Right. And not only will they have, you know, like a full home place or whatever, there will also be a place outside if they need to smoke or vape, whether or not around the building or anybody else. There will also be a place to sit outside if they want to enjoy the, you know, and outside part. There'll be a place for the kids to play where it's safe and the parents can be with them at all times and everything. And so, I mean, I plan on going hardcore on this, whether I do it by myself or however.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Roger, since you're involved with the fire department, is there anything that can be done through that kind of situation?
Possibly. I appreciate Tina's passion. Obviously, this is something that's important to her, and I think it is a problem in our community. I'm just gonna look, okay.
You're just gonna, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just take it a different direction. I'm more into how we can prevent people from being homeless, and that starts with having good paying jobs in our community. Working on our families, making sure that our families have the things that they need. We're trying to keep our youth from turning to drugs and alcohol, and that comes back to being involved with our youth through our YMCA and through other, community people to try to keep our youth going in the right direction. But I think, yes, this is a big, big undertaking. A lot of organizations going to have to be going through, and I think maybe start on a smaller scale and then build big. I think our community churches are a huge resource. Like you said, we have a lot of good Christian people in this community. We have a lot of churches. But I love your passion. I think it's a great goal. I think you have to start somewhere. There's probably some grants and some funding that can be found if somebody wants to take the time to do that. But yeah, I want to attack it. Of course, my wife, it's a topic that's dear to her, is focusing on you,
Right.
keeping them steered in the right direction and doing as much as we can. But I think an official document or a stance from the city would be important, because if you're going to have a goal, you have to start somewhere. You have to have steps to get there. So
When someone enters the program, how long can they stay before they need to move on?
It depends on how they are. If they don't have a permanent place to stay, then they will be able to stay about 4 or 5 days to be able to get themselves together and find a place that they can go and everything. Otherwise, they will have to go at that time. So if they come in and I see that they don't have a place per se, okay. So, and I see that the weather is not permitting for them to be out, they don't have a place to go like that, then they'll get to stay longer. But if, like, say they come in and it's like summer, spring, fall, whatever, it's where it's temperatures are good and everything, we don't have to worry about winter, everything, then they'll stay at least a week and everything. Give them time to get themselves together. If they can work, then they can go on the computers and look for jobs and everything. And then by that time, then they'll have to leave, and then because it's going to have to be kept for someone else,
yeah, I think the majority of homeless probably,
Most of them don't stay anywhere.
most of those people have substance abuse issues or mental health. So I think those are two areas that we really need to focus on.
Right. I don't think we have, it's such a specific question when you don't have, there's not a board, there's not a committee, it's not starting quite yet. So I think the first thing, you would want to see what was already established and available in the community, which, not to segue into my thing, and I didn't want to do that, but transparency is huge. So if we had communication within the county of what is available, Washington County Foundation, the YMCA, we've got youth, we've got however many churches, where's the whole directory of the churches, what churches want to be involved, what are they doing? I feel like communication and people saying, here's my information, here's what's already established in the county, and here's how we can best help these people. And then you can get people around you who also have the same passion. And I don't know, it sounds a lot like connecting to the right source overall. And it's at the beginning, and it's a great idea. But, you know, you can have thousands of ideas, but you don't have to have every answer, you know? None of us have to reinvent the wheel, right?
Roger, you said that you had some things that you would like to talk about. Let's go ahead and move to you. We're gonna, a hard left. And on this, we're gonna, I think you thoroughly.
I think it's a right. That's hard, right?
Let's turn it around. Okay. So, do you have anything that you're passionate about?
I have several things. I was just gonna open it up and ask everybody what we love about Salem and what we think we need to fix. And I will say, I love our small town. We have a beautiful city. We have great people. This is a great place to live, a great place to raise a family. We have good schools. We have a good city government. We have people that really care about each other and want our city to thrive and grow. So those are things that I love about our community, some things that I would like to see change. I'd like to see some industrial growth for our community. We need a good economic engine to drive our budget for us to progress. And what I mean by that is for us to have good paying jobs where when our kids are graduating high school or college, they're not moving to California or to New York. That's fine. But we want some of those people coming back here. And we want to attract those type of people. We want to be a spot where a young person out of college wants to come and start their family, have a good job, send their kids to school, be involved in our community. So that's an issue that I'm pretty passionate about. And we have the opportunities to do that. We have to have a good plan. We have to all be on the same page, and we have to work towards that.
Tommy, let's go on to you. And what do you want to talk about?
Well, there's a lot of things. You know, Roger brings up a really good point. We have to be willing to look at our current situation and prioritize what we want to do. The job growth is probably number one. To get a good solid job base, you've got to have a growing and expanding tax base to go with that. You also want to look at the jobs of tomorrow. Everybody in this room can agree, defense jobs are not going to go anywhere anytime soon. We're in good proximity to Fort Knox. We're in good proximity to Atterbury. You know, let's draw some of those defense contractors into Salem and put people back to work. The people of Salem cannot survive on a fast food wage. It will not support a family. The poverty rate in Salem right now is 23%. And unfortunately, current city government is not working hard enough to bring that down. The other thing that I'm striving for is we need to be able to grow the city. Unfortunately, the city has a problem. We are landlocked. That brings up another elephant in the room. It's called annexation. There's problems within the annexation idea that have to be addressed, and they have to be addressed correctly, or we're not going to go nowhere. But right now it's jobs. Public safety is another area that I'm very passionate about. 25 years in emergency management. I've seen it. Salem is in dire need of a second fire station. We have one. It's not operational yet. I know for a fact that there's openings at the fire department that have not been filled. They're not even trying to fill them. If we can fill the vacancies, you know, Roger's retired. He's retired. So there's one right there that's open. We can fill those vacancies, expand the fire department. We would have a station on both sides of the tracks, and it would alleviate some of the pressure. We need a fire department that's going to grow and expand with the city.
Yeah, okay. C, wild man. Well, yeah, whatever. Yeah. What would you like to talk about? Yeah, no, what would you like to talk about?
Well, I'm not really that wild, but maybe back in the day, but I'm a retired elementary school teacher. I also work part-time for the Department of Natural Resource. I'm an active member of the Washington County Foundation. I'm a cast volunteer at Brady Stone Elementary. I'm a member of the Line Southern Indiana in New Albany, which is an addiction prevention group. I'm a member of the Washington County Substance Abuse Council here in the Salem area. And I partnered with the YMCA a couple of years ago to help sponsor a march against addiction 2 years in a row. The reason I kind of say those things, I just feel like community service is crucial. It's important. I like to give back to my community as best I can as I get older. If I'm reelected, I've mentioned the homeless situation with Tina's plan. I'm all on board with that all the way. I'd like to, at being a part of the council for several years now, I'd like to continue timely and well-deserved pay raises for Salem City employees to encourage this good staff people to remain in Salem. And also I'd like to, another thing I feel strongly about is to upgrade and support our Parks and Rec program with maybe a plan there to start and implement something to improve what we already have with our children's best interest at heart. Our children are our future. And I think sometimes we overlook that. And I know the swimming pool is a big issue with a lot of people. I'd like to save the pool. I know there's a lot of factors involved, but I'd like to save it or build a new one somewhere and give top paid certified lifeguards. That's an issue in a lot of communities. We need to pay these and most of these lifeguards are probably 15, 16-year-old. Well, they deserve top pay. I mean, they've got a certification as a lifeguard. To me, that's pretty impressive, and they need to be well paid, and that would help that program as well. So anything to help kids. I was an elementary teacher for almost 40 years. I'm kid oriented and probably always will be, but I love Salem. I've tried to get back to Salem the last few years. Salem's been kind of like what Roger said. Salem is special and unique. We have, you can turn on the news almost at any channel and see problems that are going in other places that like, my goodness. I'm glad I live in Salem. Makes me appreciate Salem even more. My wife and I have a nice window in our house. We look out and we see people walking to the nature trail by the middle school, and just people are happy. They're a beautiful sunny day, and no mention of muggings or crime or things like that. And it's just, I just think we need to appreciate what we have. Just not forget how great Salem really is. And I want to work to help keep it that way. So thank you.
So, you're an incumbent, right? You're already on the board.
Yes.
What would you be able to tell everybody here who is new and fresh and unknowing of what's going to happen if they get into office? I mean, have you been able to do what you wanted to do in your position?
Oh, no. I just a few years ago, I was part of a smoke-free ordinance. I developed, me and another council member developed a smoke-free ordinance. We wanted to make Salem 100% smoke-free at the time. And there were other places that were still allowed to smoke, and we were just trying, and it came, we went through all the legwork and everything, and got voted again. It was put down.
Right.
And frankly, I was shocked. I remember telling my wife when I got home, she didn't come to that particular meeting. She said, "How'd it go? Probably won in a landslide, didn't you?" No, I said, they shot it down. So we have to kind of all be together. We have to work together. I think we have to respect each other and respect each other's ideas. We're not going to get everything we want. And ironically, the smoke-free ordinance, there's some clubs around town that are, and I knew this was going to happen a few years ago. I'm not saying I told you so, but I'm not going to mention names, but they're going smoke-free on their own anyway. to create more of a family atmosphere for those places. And that's all we wanted back then.
Right.
We just wanted to create, make Salem a 100% smoke-free. But anyway, yeah, I guess what I would say to newcomers, it's okay with your passion. Talk about it, go for it, but don't get your feelings hurt if all your ideas are not accepted wholeheartedly. So you just got to keep working and put Salem first. I like the people that I work with on the council right now, the clerk and the mayor. They're good people. They're honorable people. They got a lot of integrity, and they make hard decisions. And we all have made hard decisions, and I feel good about it. I can go home and sleep well at night knowing that I've done my best for Salem. So,
Renee, what would you like to talk about? Transparency or water? Water.
Water is an interesting conversation to have right now. Yeah, transparency. I think your initial question was, or Roger asked what we love about Salem, what we need to fix or work on. And to answer that, love Salem. Like, like you said, I know I like knowing everybody. I've been here 27-ish years, and even though I wasn't born and raised here, I thoroughly enjoyed meeting everybody and knowing how I'm connected to them. I like to feel connected as part of a community. And I think that's one of the things that I think we could work on and take pride in at the same time. Because I do know some people who have come here from other areas and they don't know what's happening, what's going on in town, what clubs can I join, where is, this, that, and the other. So that leads to transparency. My things that let me say one more thing about that. Our, on all of the city signs, it's Salem is our motto. Salem is a city with a rich history. We do have a really unique, rich history. But if we don't do things now to promote the growth of Salem, then we're just going to leave history where it currently is. But we're writing it now. So we have an opportunity, and I think that we're in this season where I want to make Salem something that thrives and continues and has more history added to that book. I want them to look back at 50 years and say, we didn't have a homeless thing, but man, there was this woman, her name was Tina, she was really passionate about it. She got people on board and they became an example for the whole state on how you can help serve the homeless in your area. Or, whatever it is, we are creating that now. I want to see more things for our youth. Absolutely. If we continue to take the ones who have poor grades, bad attitudes, all of that. I mean, they bring that from home. Most of them have home situations that are not leading to positive public situations, and then they're not allowed to be in sports and this kind of thing because it's a punishment. But if they consistently get kicked out of being able to participate, then they won't know how to participate. Right? They're being taught, you're not doing it right, I'm going to set you over there, but then they don't get the chance to learn how to implement into society. And then are we helping them or are we harming them? Right. And then they end up with a greater homeless, or, if you said our poverty level, we're at a 23%, which then, that leads to infrastructure. Yeah, we want more jobs and we want more people to be able to live here. But if we don't have the water situation in a way that we can support a factory of 1,000 more people, or say we added 500 more people, we can't even sustain clean water to the current new housing that's out by the YMCA. Why? We have 72 miles worth of pipelines that need replaced. Those are some facts. Those are things that we need done. So before we build anything, you have to have a good foundation. And so what is our foundation? And when you look at our foundation, is it only that we have a rich history, or do we also have a thriving future? If we have a thriving future, we have to have a good foundation, and it does start with infrastructure, water, our roads, our communication. Like, if I get yes, I'm running on the Democratic ticket. If you vote, you can still choose your straight party thing. You can flip your name up, flip the paper over, find my name, and still vote for me if you're a Republican or whatever. I am running because I want Salem to thrive. And it is, yeah, I may have a more Democratic leaning overall, but I care about Salem. And I want to live here, and I want to thrive here, and I want my kids to come back here. All of that also to say, how do we pay for it? So where's the money come to replace the pipes? Where does the money come to fund what you're needing? You talked about annexing the city. If we make the city limits a little wider, we get more people involved. Great. We talked about, we want people to be able to live and work in town. That means providing living wages. How many businesses in town provide a living wage? I know someone that I'm with on the ticket bring up the raises that were given to the mayor and the clerk. It's barely a living wage. I'm not upset that they got a living wage raise.
And
Why?
that was their first raise in almost 15 years, the first raise of that position in
Right.
a couple of decades.
Right.
So
I wouldn't be able to raise my family on the amount that the mayor makes, my current family.
What did they make?
67,000.
It was 50,000.
It was 50.
51 or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, but it takes money. And so I think, again, it comes back to what's the starting point? We can have grand ideas and make promises and do all of these things, but we have to find a starting point and people who we can have these conversations with without being angry. I want multiple perspectives. I don't have every answer. I don't need you to have every answer. But when you have the right people around you, you can get somewhere.
But if you don't have people who are willing to participate and help in that, it'll never fly. It will never, ever fly. Just like this deal, what I want with my homeless people, it'll never happen. If I can't get people to cooperate and help build this idea to get this place going, because it's a never ending thing. It's a cycle that just keeps going down the drain every single day. And it'll never happen unless I can get people to cooperate and help donate, help build, do whatever. Just like we talked about the youth. I plan on having a place built like Rock and Roll, but it'll be different.
Right.
And it'll be a place for kids to get off the streets, have some place to go and hang out with their friends, and not be out here causing destruction and all this stuff,
Right.
you know?
Well, and what kind of opportunity, like I know Desiree Prater at YMCA is already trying to do a lot with youth. And because if we have a group of people who have a need because they haven't been taught certain things, and we need to get to the root of what that issue is and help them. Because yeah, we may have a rock and roll place sometimes, but if half the kids end up getting kicked out because they have not even been taught how to function in that area. Okay, Legacy. We went to Legacy, we did a lot of things with the kids, we wanted to do stuff, we fed them, and then they would sneak in the bathroom and dump candle wax down the sink drain, which was one of the reasons. And it's like, come on, I just want to help you, man. Yeah, I just want to help you.
But they gotta be willing to want the help in order for us to help them.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, I think it comes to what's available already and how can we work together then? I did want to say I have a question. So like, we need money to do this. We need money. It is my understanding there was a tax abatement given to a business coming into town on the square for 10 years. What is that amount of money that we are going to miss out on by honoring that abatement? You know?
It's whatever his property taxes on that property would be. And from my understanding, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, that tax abatement, he's not creating new jobs, he's moving jobs that currently exist to that location.
Yes.
I do not agree with tax abatements for 10 years. Tax abatements in this city seem to be on a revolving door of the who's who. I can name off small businesses right now that would love a tax abatement. Bob Strange at Ace Hardware, he's tried for 5 years to get a tax abatement, and he's not been able to get one because they won't give it to him. But yet it goes to that person, it's me. That's the problem. We've got.
Rachel, go ahead and take care of it. It's okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was a majestic speech. You just had to stop and get that done.
So how many businesses currently have tax abatements?
I don't know, but there's a process you go through for the tax abatement. And I'm somewhat of an advocate for tax abatements because they do serve an important purpose in community growth. Those tax abatements are brought before the city council. The city council has the authority to grant the amount of year tax abatement will be allowed. That's the city council's authority. They can make it 5 years, they can make it 10 years. There's a top level that you can go. There's a bottom level that you can go. Those are done on a case by case basis. I know that in the case of John Jones, those are watched for the amount of the tax abatement. There are certain thresholds they have to meet. Those are reported back to the city. If those thresholds are not met, the tax abatement can go away.
Okay.
Here's another thing about tax abatements. Tax abatements does not mean that you will never pay less tax than what you are paying. So if John Jones is paying $1 million in property taxes and he gets a tax abatement, he's still going to pay $1 million. What he will not pay is the 100% of the improvements he makes to that property over a 5 or a 10-year period. So it's phased in. You will eventually get that revenue. You just won't get it all at once. So it's an incentive for a company to hire people to improve their business, to bring prosperity and growth to the community. And I think we need to be business friendly. I'm not saying we should give away the house, but we have to set an environment that allows people to come in and spend and invest money in our community. You know, the old saying is, I never got a job from a poor person. You know, people that have money are going to hire you. They're going to provide you with the benefits that you need to make your community, your family better. So that's kind of how the abatement goes. And Steve's been on the council for, I think this will be his 3rd term. So he's been involved in that process a lot. And I've been involved in city government since 1994. So I've sat in on a lot of those meetings. I've seen those abatements come through. It's an organized process. It's not a giveaway. I think it's an important tool for any type of a city or state government to use.
So if I'm correct, you're saying like an abatement, so they still pay the taxes as they were when they bought the building?
Absolutely, yes, they are.
Okay.
So
And
the
then,
improvements that they make, if they buy equipment, if they improve the building, the additional taxes are not phased in at 100%. They're phased in over a 10-year period.
Okay.
So the city will get that revenue. They just won't get it all at once.
okay,
Roger, I agree with you. You know, I'm all for tax abatement, but my supporters view it as it is, right now it's being treated as who's the most popular. I mentioned Ace Hardware. There's other small businesses in town that have applied for tax abatements and have been turned down. But when the list comes out, it's always the same group. It's never, there's not a diversity there to where it's like, okay, you had a tax abatement the last time around, we're going to stop and we're going to shift gears and let this other business have it. Look what Bob Strange has done with Ace Hardware.
It's a lot of money. I'm not aware of that situation.
Right.
I'm not aware of that.
Either.
Anybody
can turn
yeah.
down.
He was turned down.
I know that there's an application process you have to go through. You just don't walk in and say, give me a tax abatement. There's a procedure that you go through. And there is a I think that's part of the economic rate partnership. I think they manage that tax abatement process. There's a representative that presents those to the city. And there's been 3 or 4 years, there's been a year where you'll have none, and they are ongoing. There are abatements that I know that I think at GKN is under a current abatement that was granted several years ago. They were investing millions of dollars, in equipment upgrades and things like that to their property, and those reports come back to the council as those thresholds are met. So you can physically see, yes, they've done what they said. If they don't do it, the abatement can go away. So
I'd like
I
to
think
say,
it's an important tool.
I'd like to say one thing about getting back to the water system. Years ago, when Troy Mary was mayor, we had a need. We had a vision, and I give Troy credit. He went with it. Justin has carried on with it. The $15 million upgrade, as I recall, to the solar system, and it will provide the upgrades to the computer system and everything at the plant will provide Salem water for the next 75 years. And after that, it still left Salem in the mid-range of cost for water and sewage compared to other communities in our region. That's after the upgrade. We're still mid-range. I mean, my daughter lives in Seymour, and she says, Dad, my goodness, we pay twice what you pay for water. I know there's been, so we've had to go through this has been kind of growing pains with the water system. I had a feeling we might go through this a couple of years ago, and I was keeping my fingers crossed but there's just, when you have things like that, there's going to be issues, and we still obviously have areas of discoloration and that are working through the system now. Here, just the last meeting, the mayor assured everyone that the new piping was overnighted from Florida, and the fix was implemented. So just hoping, I'm sure that there's always going to be some quirks. There still may be, just as we speak right now, that the citizens are encouraged to call the water department right away so they can nip these things in the bud and get through these things.
I don't know about you guys, but the other day I took a drink of my water in my faucet. It was nasty. I mean, downright nasty. It tasted like chemicals or something. I mean, I wouldn't drink it. I'll drink tea, Kool-Aid, whatever. I can't stand it. It's nasty.
To what Steve said, I worked at the old water plants. Rick Collins, may he rest in peace, told me back then, if Salem was to ever get a water plant, he's like, you're going to chase gremlins and problems for 5 to 7 years. I still believe that, but what I also believe is the new water lines that are being put in now on 56, what's been done around the square, we've actually jumped probably ahead of that, and we're probably down to the curve. I'm going to estimate probably 3 to 4 years of still chasing gremlins. Renee brings up a great point. We've got 75 miles of unchanged water lines that haven't been changed since the 60s. You got to remember, Lake Salenda was the second water plant in the city of Salem. That plant's been closed down now for several years because it closed shortly after Judy Chastain was mayor, while she was mayor. We have to realize that, yes, aging infrastructure is a problem, but we also have to realize, like Steve's point was, with a new plant, you're going to have new problems. We've got to give our infrastructure time to catch up with the technology of that new plant.
Right. I don't think our water bill situation is going away anytime soon. If anything, I can only imagine it's gonna have to get worse before it gets better, because if we go in, so 2 questions I've had that I don't feel were answered. I was at city council and I asked, and sometimes when I get in that situation, I forget what I was gonna say, and then I don't follow the question. So we shut down the pipe a couple weeks ago, and they brought in one from Florida and brought in a special engineering team to replace it. How much was that, and where does the money come from? You don't have to answer. I'm asking it leaves me with questions, right? We lived in Vermont for 5 years. Our water bill was not great. It was very high. But one thing that the water company did, the well that our water is coming from had too much manganese in it. With every bill, which they billed quarterly, had an information paper that said, here's what's going on with the water. Here's what our ratings are. Here's what we're trying to do to fix it. Here's why your bill is going up, because we are trying to fix it. So they informed you in every bill, and every newspaper that was put out had information of what was going on. So people didn't feel like they had no clue. It's like, why is my bill going up? Why can't I drink this water? Why can't my grandma have the water? Information is key. But then I'm left with the question, if we replace the pipes, where are we gonna get the money for that? And I know we have a loan. We had a loan that was added. There was the $15 million grant to do the water treatment plant at John Hay. That was one part of the thing. And then there was an extra loan that was taken out at 2% interest that the citizens of Salem voted and agreed on. They may not know they did, but they did. Like, sometimes they go in, there's the extra questions. Okay. So they said, yes, raise my water bill, I will pay it. How long is the loan? I don't have the answer to that yet. I have looked and I don't know yet how long we have to repay that loan. But if we go in and fix these pipes, it takes me back to what are we leaving for the next set of people? And if we don't have companies here that pay a living wage, and we already have a poverty level, and then we also have to do some infrastructure, which is valid. We have to do that. It all comes back to how do we do that and still grow our community and do what's best for all of us. We will have to pay. I don't see it I'm not a professional, and I'm not an engineer, but we will have to pay more. I just don't see it.
I mean, most city governments or any kind of government, when they're doing a capital project, usually comes down to a bond issue. I mean, that's just a fact of life. If you're making $20 an hour and you want to go buy a $75,000 brand new Ford truck, where do you go to get the money? You go to a bank, you take out a loan. When you take that loan out, that loan is a promise that you're going to pay that money back. You're going to budget it into what you can afford. You're going to make those payments every month. And city government's the same way. When we have a large project that we have to undertake, we don't have the tax revenue in our small community to do a $15 million project. We just don't. So therefore, we have to do a bond issue. And I know those are tough decisions. Nobody likes that. Most of those bonds are repaid over a 3 to 5 year period. Those payments are rather high because I've seen some of those. But that's where your city leaders, city council, court treasurer, and mayor work together as a team to figure out the best route for us to go to keep the services that we all expect because we pay for those. And that's just a way of life. So those large projects that you're talking about, that's usually the way that they're tackled. But for us to grow, it's kind of which came first, the chicken or the egg.
Right.
You have to do the infrastructure to get the business here, but we have to be aggressive because you have to compete for these industries for all this business now. You just can't sit back in your office and wait for the phone to ring. You have to get out and get after it. And so we need a cheerleader. We need somebody to go out and work for the city to try to bring this in here. It's not going to happen without boots on the ground. So my other point was, residential growth is great, but your residential property tax is capped at 1%. You're not going to grow your revenue stream by building 15 subdivisions. Some commercial development, that's where you're going to generate the biggest property tax revenue, and that's what we really need to focus on. I believe we need some areas that we can develop, that we can bring in some of these smaller factories and smaller industries with 250 jobs. You do 3 or 4 of those, you change things. You don't have to do as big of a bond issue because you increase your water revenue by 15-20%. So those are things that we need to focus on.
He's got a question.
You've raised some wonderful issues here, and these are complicated issues that are not solved in an instant. Yeah. And many of these issues take special knowledge and education. And what I would like to hear from all of you is, what's your education background? what companies have you ran, or projects have you administered, or programs have you run, boards have you sat on that qualify you to take this job because you then have the knowledge to solve these issues. And I raise this because I'm new in town. I've been here 4 or 5 years, and quite honestly, I don't know any of you. And I don't know where you came from or what you're doing, and I'm trying to look for candidates who can fix the problems. But from my background, it takes education and training and experience in complicated issues to solve these issues. And who wants to start? What's your education background, and what have you done?
I graduated from Salem here in town. I've had 2 years of college with accounting being the main focus on that. My job background goes everywhere from construction with my dad. I've been in retail food sales, which gives me budgeting and marketing employees and ideas. I have, like I mentioned before, I spent 25 years in emergency management. I've seen what good public safety can do. I've seen what grant money, if applied for correctly, will give you. I worked almost 2 years as a water plant, so I understand the water issue. And I understand it on a level that most people wouldn't, because I've been there, done this. The other thing that I will tell you, since you asked the question, is this is my 5th time of running for public office. So I've been in the trenches 4 other times, and I've had these same questions that have been brought up right here. I've had them brought to me. So I've had 4 other chances or opportunities to answer these questions. And you're right, sir. This is not an overnight. It's not good. We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to fix it overnight. But what we need is exactly what we have here.
Right. Roger, I want you, because it's almost 2:30. You have to leave at 2:30?
And I need to go in.
Yeah, I've got another commitment, another.
You go ahead. You're,
Yeah.
okay. I want you to go next.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. As most of you know, here I'm the fire chief. The fire chief's a pretty important position in city government. I had a budget of about $500,000 I managed. I had 28 employees that I had to supervise. It's a huge responsibility. You learn a lot about how to organize things, manage people, handle different types of, emergencies and things like that. I was a firefighter for 37 years. I was on the founding board of the YMCA when we started that group. It was a thought just like this. Several community people came together. We had meetings at the high school gymnasium. Our first property that we used was a storefront out where the license branch used to be. Through a lot of hard work and a lot of years of planning and grant writing, we were fortunate enough to get about a $750,000 grant and construct a new facility out here. I'm very proud that I was a part of that founding board. I was the treasurer of the YMCA for about 4 years. Pretty important position. A lot of money going through there, a lot of accountability. So everything that I've done in my life has kind of put me in this position. I was on the Salem Park board. I mean, I've served on so many different boards in this community, been involved in a lot of things, been a coach for almost 30 years in different sports. So youth are really important to me. The Parks and Rec department is a department I want to see us expand and offer more services for our youth, because as Steve said, kids are our future. We need to really invest in those kids. So, and plus I'm a small business owner and I have 3 employees. So I know what it's like not only to have a check written to me, but I write checks. And so I have to manage my business. I work in about a 7-county area. Really enjoy what I do now. I've kind of transitioned into that and looking forward to hopefully being voted on city council, and I want to continue to serve my community. We have a great city. I love it here. I'm so excited about the future. I think our best days are ahead of us, and I want to be a part of that.
Tina, go ahead and talk about your passion.
Well, my only passion is getting this homeless thing done. Nobody else has done anything about it or tried to do anything about it except for one person I know of, and she tried for 22 years to get that building that used to be Miller's down there. She tried for 22 years and they kept telling her no, that they wasn't going to open that building. They wasn't going to use it for that purpose. And that's another big issue here. Nobody wants to do anything with the homeless. Nobody wants them around. Nobody wants them near them. or anything like that. So it would have to be kind of a enclosed location per se, to where I don't feel like that they're bothering anybody.
Right,
So they're gonna have to be kind of in the country, but yet close to town to where they can walk to the stores and different things like they do now.
right. And your experience is in like, Blue River Services, right? And you've been a monitor on the bus, so you've done, watching after people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mainly what, if you're looking for, experience and history, that's what she's focused on all her life.
Have you run any programs of this size? Because this is a huge program.
No, I haven't. This is my first one. And truthfully tell you, honestly, I'm ready for it. I'm going to be, doing everything I can to get this up and running. Because I feel like I'm the only one that's gonna be able to do it, because nobody else has thought of doing it or wants to do it or anything like that. And all these people have become close friends of mine. And I'm not gonna let them down.
Well, and sometimes experience is a bad thing. When you come into a problem and you look at it and you say, well, I have an answer, and you don't look at anything else. And what Tina is, to be honest, is she's very open. And she actually asks questions and doesn't depend on herself being the only knowledge source. Does that make sense?
And what I don't know, I wanna learn.
Right.
Whatever it takes to get this done, I will do.
Right. Okay. So Steve, go ahead. What's your, you've already really said your whole background already.
I'm more of a people person than a business person, business background. I've got a master's degree in elementary education, so that says a lot, about me. I mentioned my community service activities and things that are very important to me. I've been on the council now. This is my 8th year. I hope to get reelected and work diligently for ways to, like I mentioned a while ago, to continue timely and well-deserved pay raises for the city employees. And I would like to clarify, a minute ago, we talked about the mayor and the clerk and the city council employees getting a raise. That was several years ago. That wasn't just this year.
Right. Yeah, I knew that.
Right. And several years ago, that was the first time in the longest time. So I was okay with that. And most people that I at that time were okay with that. But I'm on board with Tina's homeless action plan. I want to help with that 100%. And the park and rec program, I really think there's a need there. We need to kind of come up with a plan there to help and improve and bring new and interesting activities for our kids and work on the ones that are already here. And that's about it, I guess, for me.
In your education and background?
My background, my education level officially is I graduated from Salem High School in 2000, preparing with one of my teachers. I was president of his 5th grade class. So, I mean,
Here we are now.
I know, right? Working together. So, Chris and I got married young. We had 5 kids. And I think one of the largest examples of what I've done or achieved in life is coming from those children right now. They are thriving. And that's what I did for the past 19 something years. I also, I was in church. I was on the worship team. I helped with kids. I've homeschooled. I taught all of my kids how to read and do math, and they all are also straight A students. And, I did Awareness Washington County. I do all kinds of things in the community, including, starting the first Pride group in Washington County. And, I think it takes, running a business is about maximizing profits, and running a town is about serving the people of the community. And I think right now, the voices of the people need to be heard. And I'm someone who has stepped up to ask questions instead of just getting angry on Facebook. And, you know, like when you start asking questions, I don't know, I'm someone who once I start asking something, I want to know everything about it. I want to be involved. Even at the chagrin of my husband, he's kind of like, can't we just live in the house with our kids? And it's like, no, we have to go help all the people and do all the things. And so passion and surrounding yourself with the right people. And I think asking the right questions. I will not ever say that I have all of the answers, but there are people who have the answers, and I like to find those people. So that's my
That's your thing.
background, I guess.
That's actually, a really good place to stop if you're wanting to stop. Now, yeah, you guys are good. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, just real quick, or anything similar to that nature?
I did want to mention Mia Leonard wanted to be here. She's running for District 3. Sorry, I won't mess up screen. But anyway, she's Robert's cousin. Anyway, she did want to be here, but she's an RN. She's at work today. Julie is sick. There were other people I know wanted to be here. And I would like to see in the future more citizens come out to the city council meetings, or to the Democrat committee meetings, or the Republican committee meetings, or the Libertarian committee meetings. These are all public events. So if you have a question or a passion or a desire or whatever you want an answer, show up to these meetings. I think is
a thing.
it's a thing. It needs to be a thing.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and end it on that. Thank you so much for coming in. My computer died. I mean, you know, I get like all complicated and I think it's all gonna be just spectacular. You know, pretty much, yeah. So, but it's been on here. We're all good. We're all good. You know, it just was a dramatic fall down. Yeah, just a dramatic fall down. Thank you so much.
Ready? We miss Tommy. All right, 1, 2, 3.
There you go. Thank you.